You spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Hi, Will. How are you?
Doing great. Yourself?
I was really sad last month when you couldn't co-host with me.
I missed it, but I'm glad to be back. And day after, I see you wearing some appropriate gear today. So congratulations to all the Jayhawks out there.
You know what was so weird for me last night when I was watching this? So fun random fact, I played a sport at KU a million years ago. And because I wasn't one of the smart kids, I did tutoring with a lot of those basketball players. So I got to know them pretty well. And so they literally said, and they're all the older guys that used to play on the sidelines. And those are my friends, all the alumni. And I was like, what do you mean the older guys?
Distinguished, accomplished, right? That's what that was about.
It was too stressful of a game.
What? Congrats to all the Jayhawks.
Are you not a Jayhawk fan?
No, I am, but I didn't want to gloat. So.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I thought you were. Well, congratulations to you too, Will.
Thank you.
People that aren't Jayhawk fans suddenly are today, so I've been pretty impressed. So, Will, tell everybody, if somebody's never seen you, usually co-host with me every month, but tell everybody real quick who you are if they haven't seen you before.
Yeah, no, Will Fox. So I'm the executive vice president, head of commercial lending at Bank of Blue Valley, native of Kansas City, graduate of the University of Kansas, and very excited to continue to be a partner to the show here. So thanks again for having me this week.
And you're good. You're so good. Like now you're like a total pro. You were good the very first time, but now you're total pro. You have a plant back there.
So, that's been the biggest comment I get from people is asking if I work in a prison. So no, they're trying to help me out around here. So yeah, we've added a plant.
I've seen some documentaries about those private prisons. They got nice offices. So, all right, I digress. We have a 30-minute show today and we have the most amazing guests. So I want to jump right into it. So thank you to Bank of Blue Valley. Thank you, Burns and McDonnell, for being sponsors. Also, please start commenting over here. Tell us who you are, where you're watching us from, what you're doing today. If you're excited about the Jayhawk win. And I know you guys have already had to be watching our guest before. She just keeps having home run after home run after home run. She is so inspiring. I am so stoked to hear about what she's doing now. So, Christine, hello. How are you?
Hey, great to see you both.
We are so excited. So you were one of our first guests ever on this show.
All right.
And that was before you had your last home run, I want to say. So you're with a different business. So today's brand new. So super excited about this. So just tell people who you are, what you do, and what you're doing now. And are you from Kansas City? Are you a Jayhawk fan? Kind of some fun stuff about you.
Oh, you bet. So Christine Ricci, I'm actually a nurse by trade, grew up in Chicago and moved to Kansas City about 15 years ago. So definitely a KU fan. You have to be when you're part of the community. So go Chiefs, go KU. I love my local teams. And what a win last night. That was amazing to see. So much fun.
Yeah. And well played with being a fan of all teams. Very smart. Good play by you on that.
Cubs, Sox, kind of on the line. You learn.
Yes.
And what do you do for work? What are you doing now? Because you're doing something totally different than the last time you were here.
Yeah. So the last business I was in cell phone repair, and we grew that from local to operating across a portion of the United States. and then ended up selling that to an amazing company called Assurion, which is one of the largest technology insurance companies in the nation, and got a lot closer to my grassroots on this startup. So getting back into healthcare, and started up an IV hydration business with several partners. And the focus is really the ability for consumers to have access to on-demand healthcare services, specifically IV hydration, 24/7. So we're in Kansas, Missouri, and Arizona, and a consumer can have a nurse on their doorstep in under 2 hours. So nausea, vomiting, hangover from the KU game. I can't tell you how many hangovers we did today. Migraines, but also anti-aging, things that just help with your overall youthfulness. But the bigger goal is to leverage our physicians, our nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, a team of over 40 individuals. And our goal is always have that nurse on your doorstep in under 2 hours, 24/7. Wow. Test us out.
If you had to guess, how many hangovers did you do today? I wonder.
Oh my gosh, I lost count. The phone keeps ringing and folks keep coming in. And just when they think they've got it and they don't, they call. My nurses love it. They love helping out and getting folks turned around pretty darn quickly.
It sounds like you're a lot of people's heroes today. So it's got to be a good feeling.
Absolutely.
So nursing, you kind of, in your background, that you said you kind of where it all began, but you took a quick turn into the corporate world. What kind of drove that in your path to getting to where you are today?
Yeah, so I had a phenomenal mentor when I had graduated nursing school. I had an opportunity to intern with HCA, specifically Rick Scott and his administrative team. And his vision was really to make a difference in healthcare. He had to have more people on his leadership team that had walked in the shoes of a clinician. So he had given me an opportunity, and his administrative team gave me an opportunity to really develop not only clinically, but on the leadership side. They encouraged me to go back to school for business, my MBA, and then an IT degree. Really to help get well-rounded on things that could really drive efficiency and quality in healthcare. So went that route, got my MBA and got an emphasis in technology. And through that experience, met my husband, located to Kansas City and worked for Cerner Corporation, which was the perfect fit. So perfect fit for healthcare technology, and really driving the development on the leadership side. So spent half my career with those large Fortune 1000 companies in a lot of different roles, from sales to marketing to development, that would really help make me a well-rounded individual. And then got exposure to the small business side of things. Kansas City is such an entrepreneurial community, and they do a really great job of supporting and developing their entrepreneurs and small businesses. So made the move over from large business to small business, and really I go into small businesses and help them grow at an accelerated rate. And it all goes back to, I think, the genesis of what my passion is. And even if I think about like when I was in the ER and in the ICU, you get something in that, it could be a car wreck that you get in, and you just have to figure out, where do you get started and how do you assemble all the pieces? How do you prioritize? And then how do you take this entity that may be in a pretty bad situation and get them stabilized? And then once you have them stabilized, how do you then turn that into a good situation or a great situation? And I think most of my career was stepping into opportunities where there was opportunity to make a situation better or to create a good situation and then take that from good to great.
Yeah.
And that's really what my passion is, and what I tend to do, whether it's a large business or small businesses and taking them from local to national. It's really building something into greatness, and the people are part of that journey, which is probably the most rewarding part, and the individuals that are part of that journey, and really being able to take them into something that may be good to great.
Yeah. That's very interesting. And sorry, Aaron.
No, you're
didn't mean to cut
good.
you off, but
I'm like,
I know with Aaron and Scott's audience, you get a lot of, it's a wide range of people that are, some that are in a role in large corporate, and you have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen in and try to learn, little nuggets of advice, and from, successful individuals like yourself. But it sounds to me like at some point an entrepreneur recognized a skill set that maybe you could bring to the table, kind of recruited you out of that Fortune 1000 company and tried to bring you in to help them out. Is that really how that came about?
It there definitely was an individual that gave me a shot, and he had a local business and he wanted to grow it into a national company, and kind of took me from the large business side, brought me to the small business side. I was able to teach him the large business side of the world. He was able to teach me the small business side of the world, and together it really turned into a magical formula.
Yeah.
And definitely have used that for other opportunities. But yeah, it definitely helps having that big business experience. And some of it does translate well into small business. Small business, it definitely takes a lot of grit, perseverance, and resiliency. So it brings that out in you.
Yes.
okay, I have a very important question. To me, it's very important to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that we all of us business owners think, whenever we're done with our business, if we sell our business, we're going to take time off. We're just going to lay on a beach and be just chill, right? I question, usually you don't see that happen. With you, it was like, okay, business sold, here's new business. So what was that transition? Could you just not stop? Did you just have a million ideas? Like, did you take time to breathe? Because you just go. And I think that's how entrepreneur minds work, but I've really seen it with you, like, quicker than anyone. So it's really inspiring where this business already is, but when did you rest? And when do you know, like, what's the goal then with the next business? When do you take time off, I guess?
Yeah. So I definitely am not good about resting. It just isn't my thing. And it's, definitely can get unhealthy sometimes, but I love to work. Like I love to be out there, and I'm an athlete by trade. You played D1 sports, played some professional sports. So I love to be in the game, and to sit on the sideline is, I have a hard time doing that. So I didn't really take much time off, other than with family, and, family always trying to find those pockets of time to get away and to do things as that unit. But other than those breaks with family and close friends, this is what I love to do. So being on the sideline for too long, I would get a little anxious with that. And my family knows I'm much healthier when I'm in the game.
They want you there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a point where they can read your body language and say, I think it's time for you to go back to something else.
Yeah.
So give you a little nudge.
And the kids are very honest about that. Like, Mom, time to get back out there.
Yep. That's good. So going back to another thing that you said, and with some of the entrepreneurs that are listening, going from the resources of that, that Fortune 1000 to the grit and wearing multiple hats in the small business, and as you're growing, what are some things that you experienced that you would say were some of the most important lessons learned when you went to the smaller company that then you were growing a new company?
I would say one of the things that is really, really critical is to find those mentors and those coaches that will be brutally honest with you, but also have already had a lot of the lessons learned where you don't necessarily have to go through those same lessons learned. They've already got it and they're willing to share it with you. As an example, for this business, when I was vetting out the opportunity, I aligned with two of the folks in the industry that have already built it. They've been doing it for a while and are seen as best in class, and brought them on to coach and guide me through this, knowing that they would cut off maybe 2 to 3 years of my time trying to figure it out and learn. And so really finding those that are best in class in what you're trying to do and align with them, even if they're your competitor, still aligning with them and building those relationships. I think the second critical thing is being okay getting to 80% and launching at 80%. And then the rest of the 20% you will figure out. I think in the entrepreneurial world, it's never perfect. And waiting for things to be perfect can really slow you down. Or when you get to the point of perfection and then launch, you may have missed the mark. So I'm a big fan of building, get to the 80% mark, then launch. You've got to go at some point. You've got to get it out there, and then just fail, learn, and keep adjusting. And instead of the road being really curvy because you built 100% and then you get a major learning and then you have to adjust, you're a lot faster and a lot more nimble at getting to that end goal if you build for 80% and just gain learnings and adjust real quickly. So building for agility, I think, is really important as well. And then I think the third thing would be just the perseverance and resiliency it takes to be successful in an entrepreneurial world, because you definitely get your butt kicked out there, and you definitely have a lot of fail points, and oftentimes you're the only one who's picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and really having to reassemble to figure out how to move forward. So believing in yourself and just always having that perseverance and resiliency will gain you great things. And when others may be quitting because the game's gotten too tough for you, if you're persevering through it and have that resiliency, you're probably going to win. If you have the first variable and the second variable on that third one, you'll probably win.
I'm going to tack onto this question. Have you watched The Dropout at all on Hulu?
No. Do I need to put that on the list?
Yeah. So it's Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos, her story, right? How she kept just trying to make it work and she kept lying and did the whole Walgreens thing. Theranos, you know what I'm talking about, with the kind of the Silicon Valley queen back in the day.
Yeah.
But she just it just never worked, right? So she just came up with stories and never pivoted. At what point, if it's not working, would you say not that you give up, but that maybe you look to doing something else, or that you look at the next thing? At what point? I think that was her biggest weakness. You need to put it on your watch list. But she just was so wasn't living in reality at one point, that it was just going to work, but it wasn't ever going to work, right? So at what point is it okay to dust yourself off? Yes, but then also live in that reality of maybe there's something else that we need to go with.
Yeah, I do. I'm a firm believer in metrics and having your key performance indicators, establishing what your goal is and see how you're trending against that goal. And so if you're just starting off and volume is your goal, well, what specifically is that number? What does success look like? And are you hitting that? If you're establishing your key performance indicators and your success metrics, and you're continuing to miss those, then you may have a problem, whether it's readjusting or saying this isn't the right business. So I do think you have to be very objective about it and always have performance goals that you're measuring yourself against. So you don't get in the situation that you're talking about, which is having to fabricate success. I mean, success should be pretty black and white if you're using numbers to define and measure what success is. And whether it's your partners or your board members, everybody should be on the same page as far as what those objectives are and what those key performance indicators are, what your plan is to deliver against those, and how you're performing against your plan. So there definitely is a subjective component, but you have to make it as objective as possible as well.
I love that. Metrics. That's what I heard. All right,
Absolutely.
well, I'm going to pull up this question, and then it's going to be your turn. Me and Will take turns so well, don't we? All right, Jeff says, what are some of the big business traits you took with you to the partnership? But because I think he a little bit more wants to elaborate, big businesses can often be riddled with too much process and bureaucracy that gets in the way of speed and agility.
Gosh, and you nailed it. That is so true. And that was me going from big business to small business. And thankfully, I had enough trusted colleagues that were very honest, that would literally call me out and saying, you're bringing too much bureaucracy to this. That's too corporate. So it definitely can be a trait that you bring over. The negative side is when you do make things too complex. The positive side is the fanatical discipline that you can bring. And so it almost takes repetition and honesty and the ability to step back and listen to folks to really see where those good traits are working and where those not so good traits are slowing things down or making things overly complex. But you absolutely nailed it. It definitely is a challenge in bringing that over from large business to small business.
Good job, Jeff. All right, Will.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I wish we weren't short on time. I have lots of questions I'd love to ask Christine.
I know, it's fascinating.
But I think to help the greater the audience, we're in a time that's kind of unheralded. We've got a lot of geopolitical factors influencing business. We were talking before this, interest rates rising, but there's labor force issues. There's in your world, you're dealing with regulators, I'm sure, or some sort of regulation and procedure. From the CEO of your company, what are some of the things that are forefront in your mind that you're really honed in on right now, and we're maybe concerned or things that have just caught your attention that you're trying to learn more about?
Yeah, so always being aware of everything that is happening in the economy, and not only across the nation but across the world, trying to anticipate what could happen and how that impacts us as much as you can. So definitely keeping a pulse on that. I would say for us, when we built the business model, and even with prior businesses, you always take into consideration that anything can happen out there. So how recession proof is the business? Do you have access to resources? We're service industry, so do we have access to nurses and the right talent? And so always visiting and revisiting what's happening, predicting how that impacts the business, and then trying to build that infrastructure for agility. So if one thing happens, you're setting yourself up, you're still okay. Mm-hmm. So for our business, as an example, and this is really indicative of previous businesses, diversifying service offerings. So if something were to happen on the service side with the talent and I no longer had access to nurses, what other things am I offering that will help keep the business in a good position?
Mm-hmm.
And so always diversifying that risk, just like you manage a portfolio and how you think about it on the banking side of things, always diversifying that risk so you can stay profitable and successful.
Yep.
And I think that's one component. The other component is really staying true to the consumer, those that you serve, and making sure you are the best at it. So when things do get rough and things do get tight, your team stays with you because there is nowhere better that they can go, or your customers stay with you because you are delivering that superior customer experience. And so if you can stay true to that experience and be the best at it, as everything else is failing, you're that safe spot or that safe place that they stay with.
Yep. Great advice.
I was going to say, speaking of labor, I feel like this is a healthcare. It's so different in healthcare. You probably are getting a ton of nurses right now, right? That are looking for a change.
Oh yeah, I post a position. I probably get 400 nurses that apply for that position.
Wow.
Hospitals are begging to be. That's amazing.
Our nurses, our nurse practitioners, our physicians, pharmacists are amazing. 15 plus years experience on average, and just incredible individuals.
Nice. All right, Will, do you have a last question? You said you have a whole list.
I do. Well, no, I think the thing that was interesting is, your last venture to this venture seems so different, but you're really building out a similar retail platform, maybe a little bit. Is there a lot of similarities from what you already constructed in the IT space to now this new healthcare focused venture?
It is so similar. In the repair world, when somebody would walk in with a broken cell phone, they had the same emotions that somebody goes through when they're not feeling well. When they walk in with their broken technology, they're disconnected from their family. They no longer are able to communicate. There's a little bit of uncertainty as far as how am I going to navigate the rest of my day? How is this going to get fixed? How am I going to make this situation better? It almost reminded me of someone walking into the ER with their child, their cell phone, like, what am I going to do? Help me, please. And it's very similar in this role, in that individuals, for the most part, are in a situation that is somewhat unpredictable. They're not sure how to navigate. They're not sure what that outcome is. Yep. And they're basically delivering you the problem and the challenge, and it's your job to solve it, and solve it in a way that's empathetic, compassionate, but definitely puts them in a better place. So whether that was a broken cell phone, or somebody hung over from a KU game, or someone on chemotherapy that's dehydrated and just needs some fluids and electrolytes, the root really goes back to the same, and it's an individual in a compromised situation that needs someone with some empathy, but also someone they trust to solve their problem.
Well, I think you hit on it. I mean, one thing, everyone should go to Liquid Mobile IV, the website, because you're not a one size fits all in products. I looked at all the offerings you have, and it's fascinating to see the breadth of offerings you have, and really a lot of like aha moments that I experienced. Like, I know people that have gone through that, they could use that. And it was like a checklist of, yep, all of these, I can see where it can help somebody. So anyone out there, please go to the website. I think you'll be surprised to see all the offerings that are available to you.
Okay, I have one last question. This is usually where Scott likes to do a dumb icebreaker. I hate them. So I just want to ask you this question, because I was trying to find a picture of you earlier. And how hard is it when you have the exact same name as a celebrity to get stuff accomplished?
Oh my gosh. I disappoint a lot of people when I have a reservation under Christine Ricci and they're like, oh.
Well, I'd be way more
No.
excited if you showed up.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's kind of nice though, because most people you Google their names, everything you don't want pops right up.
Yeah.
Kind of nice. You got to kind of dig a little bit.
And good for you. As long as you get the reservation, who cares, right? That's good for you.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Awesome. Okay. As Will said, make sure you go to liquidmobileiv.com. I too am so impressed. And only because I'm on a 75 easy, so I'm not drinking right now. Did I not call you today? Right? Because this is impressive. I'm going to tell my friends that don't know who you are but there's so many awesome things. The vitamin D shots is what I'm really loving. So connect with Christine. She is tagged right here. Thank you so much, Christine, for coming on. We are so honored that you came on. Thank you, Will, for co-hosting with me. You did a great job. Thank you, Ricci and Bank of Blue Valley. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you both. Bye-bye.